3% of you that have a valve problem or a mechanical problem. The rest of you, my prescription is clear. Get off your fat ass and eat the way I'm telling you, you won't have heart disease. You want me to say it again? You want me to write it for you?
One more time.
The same prescription as diabetes. Now, let me give you the story. One of the things I loved about Clinton is how funny he was. Now, Clinton would go out running, and I'll never forget, I read an article by the Secret Service. They said, I don't know why this guy runs, because he always stops at McDonald's before we go back to the White House. So about a year ago, he goes to one of the top cardiovascular surgeons, and he says, you know something? Your odds of surviving the third bypass surgery, which you need now, are pretty low, because the standards are you have 3 bypass and you croak. You know that, right? Hope you haven't had 2 yet.
I only had 1.
Well, good. Then you better never have the second. So, now Clinton, one thing I can say about him, even though he liked young girls, he's smart. So he probably went home and thought about it, and a friend of mine who worked a lot with him when he was in the White House basically said to him, why don't you look up Esselstyn? And let me give you the story about Esselstyn. Esselstyn's a guy I vaguely know, but he's a wonderful guy. And he was one of the top cardiovascular surgeons America ever produced. Cleveland Clinic. So people flew in from all over the world to have him operate on him. And don't you know, as a young man, probably 45, 50, he ends up with cardiovascular disease and says, shit. He said, all I can tell you is I'm not going to keep laying on this table till I die, and every time I'm doing cardiovascular surgery, I'm pulling animal fat out of people's veins. So I'm going to stop eating animals. I'm going to stop drinking their milk. And radically changed his diet. And can you imagine what his colleagues said? Oh my God, you're crazy, you're a nut. So he was smart enough, because he was a farm boy. He actually grew up on a farm. And what I think the prerequisite for really smart people, you can go to school, be educated, but you better have some common sense to begin with. Most of them just get educated. They're from elitist families. These guys had common sense. So he said, well, he said, I know all my colleagues think I went south. So let me take 20 cases of severe cardiovascular problems, where we can photograph them, and everyone in the world, a 5-year-old child will say, oh, that guy has cardiovascular disease, because you see it clocked. So they took 20 cases. 1 year later, he comes back after putting them on this diet and shows, and guess what? Not one of them had cardiovascular disease again. So Clinton got on board. Now, if you can get Bill Clinton to be a vegan, holy shit, what's wrong with you?
I didn't have his girlfriend.
Are you his girlfriend?
She's my girlfriend.
You don't do that, do you?
But I have a question. I'm anemic.